Hey folks, Proxy Table Gaming, PTG, Lucky Sixes, and Hyper G at your service.
Yo, yo. You alright?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. We are round two in.
We are. Very much so. Round one is done. Dusted. We'll never think of it
Mm,
again.
no, definitely not. Well, it wasn't that bad for me. It was all right. But
Yeah.
yeah, but
And
yeah,
this and
you had a
this
resounding win for your round two, didn't you?
I
So
did. I did, and yeah, so we're hoping you can carry on that in that favour.
maybe, yeah. I mean, with 3.0, it's all a little bit of a who knows where it's going to go
I
because
know.
we're all figuring out 3.0.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we should say as well that this is figuring it out when it first came out. There's no change, so you need to figure it out even more.
Yeah,
But this is for a few weeks ago, and you played Demon Legions.
I did, and it was the Demon Legions that we've seen on the channel a few times, not
Yes.
only overall, but recently, because my opponent was Tony, good old
Hey.
Tony, who we both practiced 3.0 with before this
Yes,
tournament.
we did.
I played Tony first with a demon list, and then you played him afterwards with this demon list, or near enough. So I hadn't played this version of Tony's list.
Hmm.
But yeah, I can't see it on the screen at the minute. So there you go.
Yes, waiting for a good time.
That's my list, of course. It was from
Yes.
you were making me wait for my list. But yeah, we saw my list in round one. Obviously, it doesn't change between rounds, as you know. But it is Tigu veteran cowboys is the idea, with a big Raptor rider and Carnosaur block to go with them. Whether they deploy in them this time or not, we shall see. Then I've got two blocks of Tegu Warriors with spears, some Skink Hunters, two Tegu Mystics, which basically replace the Anorak, a Thyro in one of the Tegu Warrior units, and Rampdons. That is how I'm rocking it in this one. Um, and Tony, I don't know, you might be able to spot if it was different to how he played against you in your practice game or not.
Hmm.
But it was slightly different in the one that he played against me because he hasn't got the Sentinel of Nakuja anymore
Yeah, he's got
in
two
his running.
hellhounds as well in this one, so I think the bloat
Yeah,
flies are a little bit less scary because
sure.
they've not got
Yep,
brood mother.
correct. Yes. Yeah, but still, um, I had a good battle with him practice wise, and there's still a lot of the same elements in it.
Hmm.
So he's leading with a more of Akan, which is terrifying under all circumstances. Very resilient, and centipede legs means he can move pretty quick too. With witchcraft, even when I tried to speak properly, I still couldn't. Witchcraft was changing my words. All sorts of shenanigans with that planned.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Harbinger is something he tried against you on the Burning Wheel, and
Hmm.
he didn't have that against me, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Also, quite a tricky character to pin down. Rocking some divination adept spells, Myrmidons and Lemurs and Imps. That was standard core for Tony, using all the normal stuff. Six Hoarders, yeah, they're just tough nuts to crack,
Yeah.
always. And this time they've got a bit of armor with the chitinous scales as well. Hope Harvester for a bit of shooting, which he didn't have against me the first time round. And Evelyn's obviously are always shooting, but they're scouting and yeah, picking things off. Two units of Hellhounds, which he added in an extra unit. And like you say, the bloatflies aren't quite as beefed up as they were
Hmm.
first time round, but still, tricky customers. Like yourself, we played Frontline Clash with Hold the Center, nice and simples. And funnily enough, for secondaries, with the Saurians, rolled up Workers 1, which is to get two units within the center of the table. So my primary and my secondary objective was get in the middle with scoring units.
Hmm. That works.
Now, yeah, that's kind of nice. The difficulty is the secondary is a lot harder than the primary
Yeah.
because you have to have them at the end of the game, two scoring units, and the opponent without scoring units. So I think this secondary is actually a lot harder than the primary, personally.
Especially
Yeah,
as they're going to be thinking about it more.
yeah.
because
yeah.
they've got to get to the center anyway. So
Yes. Yeah, you can't just. I'm just going to amble towards the center. Hope you don't notice because they're going for it anyway. Meanwhile, Tony got season secure, which is to grab a terrain feature and just be on it at any point during turns 3 to 6 with the scoring unit, which I just think is so much easier.
it is.
You know,
There's
providing you can get a favourable terrain piece.
Yeah, there's definitely like not a balance in the secondaries at the minute.
No, exactly. But yeah, we'll see how we go. So this is how we line up. I'll go down my deployment first of all. So I've got Tegu Mystics on the left-hand side. I've got Skink Hunters. Both of the Skink veterans are deployed in the Skink Hunters. I'll get back to that in a minute. So a unit of Tegu Spears behind them. Then Tegu Spears with the Thyro at the back. Unit of Tegu Mystics out in front. Hoping to do a bit of pew-pew on the way as Tony approaches. Then I got my big Raptor unit who I've deployed in the forest, but they've got some Strider Forest, so don't worry about that, folks. And Ramphadon's behind. For Tony, on my right flank, he's got his Eidolons who are looking to scout and shoot into my flank, no doubt, if I leave them alone. He's got the Bloatflies who are also hanging around on the flank as well. Then he's got his Lemurs with the Hope Harvester in it, which I think is really cool. You can just stick a Hope Harvester in a unit and still shooting out like that.
Yeah.
Got our unit Hellhounds front and center. Then there's the Hoarders. The Maw of Akan is staring at me menacingly in the middle. Then he's got his Imps behind that. Myrmidons in the water and Hellhounds on my left as you're looking at it. The Burning Disc Harbinger has also moved forward. Is that Vanguard or Scout? I can't remember.
Not sure, but he does go.
Or maybe he's already started moving.
Yeah.
It might be that he's already started moving as I took that picture, potentially. Tony getting into battle stance early because he did get first turn. I can't remember whether I tried to get first turn or not, but I think I might have actually dropped to get first turn with the +2, and it turned over.
Okay.
Yeah, but either way, Tony's going first. That's
Sure.
not massively an issue for me, mainly because a lot of my range damage isn't really going to do a lot anyway. And when I say range damage, I just mean Molten Copper. Yeah, against demons. Yeah, not going to do a whole load. Tony moves up as so. Starts plinking with his shooting. Very uneventful in both magic and shooting. Just blinks off a single mystic. I don't think there's any other casualties from a magic and a shooting phase, which is pretty darn poor, to be honest. And so we go into Saurian turn 1. I move up pretty aggressively with my Raptors. Both of my Cowboys are deployed in the Raptors. So, that's nice.
Is it quite?
I made it.
It doesn't look like it, but is it quite a distance from the Maw, or are you not caring?
I'm balls out. Balls out. I was going for it. I was like, yeah, come and get me, big boy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I decided that with both my Cowboys in that unit, I think I managed to get is that Chorus of the Damned or something? I can't quite see what card it is. I got on
that. Come up.
No, it's not Chorus of the Damned because that's sitting behind the Tegu. Can't tell what it is, but I got a spell off that made me feel very confident, and obviously I'd moved them by that point anyway. So I was going all in with them.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like they needed to make it up to me after losing to a Chariot in the Beast Heads game. So I was like, right, Cowboys are going in, la. We'll see how it goes. The Mystics do a Molten Copper on the scouting Eidolons and kill 2, which is great. Again, another example of them killing Molten Copper killing more than one.
They haven't killed one yet in your battle.
No. Yeah, exactly. And over here, I think that was just how it. Oh, there you go. You can see what spell I got. Awaken the Beast, so +1 strength. So even off the charge, I was strength 6 on the Raptor Riders, and obviously Cowboys even better. So I thought my unit was pretty fearful, to be honest. I mean, yes, a Maw is nice, but I figure I'd got the firepower in that unit to take him. So,
fair enough.
And whatever else Tony fancied bringing in. Yeah, and so I'm not sure. Has Tony now moved?
This is his movement because he's moved up with the dogs.
Yes, he has moved up with the dogs. Yeah. He doesn't take the charges into my Raptor unit, which reinforces my confidence, makes me feel even bigger balls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he decided he didn't want to take those charges. He wasn't ready. He said, "I won't take it yet."
Just
is pretty much what he was saying. Just not yet. Now, obviously, with me being so brash, I was standing on the center, which is obviously where I want to be. So I was kind of like, "Yep, you're gonna have to shift me from here because I ain't moving." And I hadn't really decided whether I was going to keep on pushing towards him or not, because it would take a little while for my Tegu warriors to sidestep their way towards the center. So I needed 2 units towards 12 inches rather than just 1 for my secondary. And I've only got 3 scoring as it is, so it's quite a central cluster. But anyway, this is Tony's movement, and he moves a Hellhound unit in front of my Raptors because he wasn't ready to charge with anything, so he's chaffed me. Basically, so we can get the Bloatfly in a better position to charge my flank or cause me a problem on that side. The other Hellhounds move in front of the Mystics on the left, and the Myrmidons are moving up. Tony did choose for Season Secure this hill, and so I'm already thinking there's probably not a lot I can do to stop the Myrmidons getting on the hill at some point. Unless my Mystics go absolutely crazy with defending that hill, and they've got to get through Hellhounds first. So
and I didn't realise you were taking pictures of me as you're going along.
Oh, it's a nice one. It's a good one. Yeah, I mean, it's a good angle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To keep the scouts honest on this side, I had got my Rampdons kind of keeping things back. Now, obviously, the Eidolons can still shoot into the flank of my Raptors. They weren't really doing a lot, to be honest. So that was kind of working. And also, I wanted the Rampdons to sort of keep the Bloatflies so that they had to think twice about failing a charge into a flank. And I could then charge their flank or whatnot. And obviously, the Mystics doing the same job, but with less mobility as well. So, yeah. Keeping that side of things looking nice. This is the chapping Hellhounds in front of my Raptors, of course.
And random movement on you.
It did put random movement on my Raptors, and I was fine with that because I was like, well, okay, I just want to go an inch forward because I was planning on charging the dogs. I wasn't planning on leaving them there, so that he could get into an even more favourable position with the Bloatflies. So I was like, yeah, I'll random move an inch forward because that's the same as charging, really. I know that it's technically at a different point of the movement phase, but right. Okay. Now, I've skirted around it long enough. My skink chiefs that are currently deployed in the Hunters, you'll remember that they got breath weaponed off by Ollie's Jabberwocks. In game 1, and at that point I said, well, it serves them right, serves me right, because the skinks characters, they have the attached rule, and so they shouldn't have been able to deploy separately, because if they could deploy separately and it was legal, then they're awesome chaff. 65 points for a cheap chaff, or 70, whatever they are. That's an amazing chaff, but they've got the attached rule, so they shouldn't have been able to be deployed separately. In this battle, purely by chance, I deployed them correctly, i.e. in the only unit they can go in, which is the Hunters. So this was me deploying correctly, but not because I'd worked out that I'd done it wrong yet.
Sure.
And to compound the fact that, I did it right in terms of deployment, I now declare a charge with one of them out of the Skink Hunters.
Well, that's great.
And this is all kinds of wrong. All kinds of wrong.
It's just to show what not to do. I like it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So the Mystics charge the dogs. And to be honest, that's what it's mainly about. It's mainly about the Mystics charging the dogs. But what the Skink Chief is doing, he's charging in to be diagonal with the Hellhounds so that he can overrun and chaff the Myrmidons. So I think that's a really good play. And I was quite pleased with that play in terms of like normal activity, because I was worried that the Myrmidons would then charge my Mystics, etc. But by having this chief just move in and chaff the Myrmidons, then I get the momentum back towards the Mystics. I was really happy. Obviously, on reflection, I know I shouldn't have have been allowed to do that. Now, I suppose the other thing is I could have just charged with the whole Skink Hunter unit and sort of done a similar thing and overrun and chaff the Myrmidons. But of course, this is just the beginning of the Chiefs being a bit wrong for this battle.
Okay.
So, and we'll see how that plays out. But either way, Mystics, bang, do their job. Hellhound's dead. Only lose 2. Great job, Mystics. The Skink Chief, obviously, because he's so badly illegal, decides he's going to run really, really far and have the fight with the Myrmidons immediately, and actually clips their side and goes into them, so they won't even move necessarily. Yeah. Which I'm now thinking. I mean, ignore the whole illegality thing. I'm now thinking that's awesome because it means that potentially they're not even getting towards the hill yet, and maybe my Mystics could turn that around. Obviously, I'm not expecting this Chief to survive very long at all. Meanwhile, the Hunters just light troops over behind the Mystics to support from that direction. I random move into the Hellhounds in the middle, kill them, not a problem, no issues there. And I think with this flank, I moved the Mystics to that position. I don't really know what I was thinking, if I'm honest, because as you'll see how it plays out, and I'm not sure why I didn't see it, but I basically just give him a speed bump. Yeah. And it's not like the Bloatflies needed anything to charge the Raptors. They didn't. It was an auto charge because they can fly really far and whatnot. But basically what I've done by putting the Mystics there is I've given him a free Mystics unit because he goes into the Mystics first. He kills them on the charge. Maybe I do a couple of wounds back, but not a lot really. And then he just overruns into the flank of the Raptors, which is where he would have been anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't
it's more
really
of a,
know what...
less of a speed bump and more of a slingshot, if I'm honest.
Yeah. The opposite of a speed bump. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I don't really know what I was thinking there. So maybe it's just a little blip, really.
But you did get Awaken the Beast off on that main unit, so at least there's that.
I did, yes. I am very high strength. Now, I will say, and we find the conclusion there, the Lemures needed a 5 to charge into the flank. And if the Lemures had got in, I could have been in big trouble. Yeah, and I was very aware of that.
Yeah.
Because the combat res... Right? On 1 dice, yeah.
Okay.
Swift Ride.
No, Swift Ride.
They're all
so
Swift
2.
Ride, so no, on 2 dice. Yeah. So that was a gambit that I had to take because of my random movement thing. And I had to sort of go forward and get into that position. Tony fails it. This wasn't him unable to complete because of all the shenanigans, etc. This is just he didn't get that 5 on the 2 dice.
And he's decided to crisscross. Because
he decides to crisscross, and gets the more in on that side, while the Hoarders go in against the main unit. Now, the Carnosaur has multiple wounds D3, multiple wounds 2 against Hoarders, which is awesome. Yeah. And obviously, being an extra strength as well, the Carnosaur is pretty equipped for Hoarders. I'm 2 up armor on the Raptors.
Do you have Hatred?
I have Fury. No, I have Fury on the Hatred. Yeah, the old Hatred. On the Carnosaur.
No, Fury is battle focus, isn't it?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's what I mean. But I do have Hatred. Yes, on the
and
Carnosaur.
You have Hatred. Okay, cool.
And I have Fury on the Raptors and Carnosaur.
Nice.
So yeah, being +1 strength as well. I'm okay with this, really. I mean,
so the unit as a whole is reroll to hit with battle focus and a higher strength now.
Only the Carnosaur has got Hatred. The unit doesn't have Hatred.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, not the unit, but still, I am halberds, so they are strength 6, or the whole unit,
nice.
or at least, which is kind of
cool. Very nice.
The only issue, of course, is the bloatflies in the flank, and we've already mentioned why that was a terrible thing, really. In the previous turn, I'd moved the Ramphadons to sort of threaten the scouts. Again, this wasn't really a great movement because I allowed the scouts to get out of my line of sight. Sloppy, if I'm honest. And he shoots the Ramphadons, does 1. Over here, the Skink dies, and Tony moves forward onto the hill, clipping the hill, I think it was. which is turn 3. So secondary objective done, which is absolutely fine. The burning disc harbinger is just moving around and keeping out of line of sight of the spears. I'm not really doing a lot with the spears except trying to keep them alive and ready to jump towards the middle once the raptor fight is done. But that's all good. And over here, this is prior to the bloatflies overrunning. They kill a whole load of mystics. The mystics do kill one back, which is not terrible.
That's pretty good.
It's all right. Obviously, that bloatfly probably wasn't going to be fighting the raptors anyway because he was sticking out the side. But combat-wise, because the bloatflies do get in, you can probably go back to the. I don't know if the next picture or the previous picture.
The next picture is them going in, but with.
Oh, okay, yeah, but that's. So I've done those pictures in the wrong order basically because the bloatflies do go in, and that is the overall amount of wounds done. The dice indicate exactly what it was as well. So he has a combat res of 6 going in, I think it was. Charge, rank, flank, standards here and there. I had a combat res a lot lower. I don't think it was as much as 6, but I do loads of wounds, basically, as you can see to the hoarders.
Sure.
I think that 6 is his 6 that I've taken away or something. I don't know.
Okay.
You take a picture of dice to try and help yourself out, and then because you're not in the moment anymore, they don't make as much sense. But yeah, the hoarders get absolutely minced. I also do some, well, because the hoarders get minced, I overcome the flank combat res and start evaporating bloatflies as well because of the instability. Because he fails that test on the bloatflies, and they pop a bit, which is massive because in terms of longevity, those bloatflies, if they can keep 3 strong and have another round of fighting into my flank, that's a problem. But after blowing up a little bit, they're nowhere near as dangerous anymore. The only
blowing up is better than taking wounds as well because of the toxic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because this is casualty free for me. The only issue I've got, the only regret I've got, because let's face it, this has gone really, really well. I've got both my cowboys there. I've only lost a few raptors at the back. Couldn't have asked for this to have gone better. The only issue that I've got really, and I'm feeling it during the battle, is wouldn't it have been nice if I had a Tegu Mystic unit ready to charge the flank of that bloatfly now? Or I'd given Tony the opportunity to think about whether he wanted to charge the Mystics or the flank of the Raptors. Wouldn't it have been nice if I forced him to charge the Raptors and then my Mystics could have charged in? Yeah, wasted opportunity. But like I say, can't be angry about how this has turned out. And yeah, that's that. I don't think that picture was showing too much more, other than the Rampedons just saying, "Screw you, scouts. I'm moving on." Basically, in my 3. And then this continues to be illegal. Right. So I think I'm awesome and clever because I moved one of my skink chiefs out to stand in front of the Myrmidons instead of charging, which means that when the Myrmidons charge my skink chief, he will fight on his turn, overrun, and fight my mystics on my turn, which will give me a chance to then use my own magic dice to support that fight. Whereas by not going in this turn, I can use my magic on the Raptors. So I'm thinking, yeah, great, get me. I'm really doing this well over here. And it's just such a shame that that's all wrong because the chief shouldn't have been able to leave.
Yeah.
Anyway. Elsewise, the Tegu Mystics just sort of like move around to try and shuffle towards the center and be 12 inches within the middle because I'm now feeling that I'm going to win the grind against the flies and the hoarders. The Maw is a different Ma because he's obviously a lot tougher and I'm not really able to put much on him. But I'm kind of thinking I'm happy that I've killed the hoarders, the hellhounds, and the blowflies with my raptor unit. If I don't get through the Maw, that's fine because at least I'm standing on the center and the Maw is just tied up forever. So he's not causing me problems. And yeah. Now, I haven't mentioned this yet, and I meant to be honest, because Tony's dice were really not great. And when I say not great, I mean bloody awful for this whole battle. And Tony was taking it like a champ, as he often does. But honestly, he was not rolling well. Like, there was 0 Aegis saves in all of the Hoarder fight.
Sure.
And that happens. We've seen it both ways with Aegis saves, especially demons. But it's worth mentioning that purely because things changed with Tony's dice for one phase and one phase only. And that was when his imps shot into the flank of my Tegu warriors. Now, admittedly, they were shooting into the flank, and they're pretty good at shooting, and obviously you don't get a lot of armor, etc. All that sort of stuff.
Advantage position.
All that, yeah, amazing. But the reason why I mentioned Tony's dice being bad up until this point is that because Tony's dice was so good for this one shooting phase, can you see how that has actually been a bad thing for Tony with how many casualties he's caused on my Tegu warriors? Any thoughts?
No, I don't.
Tony didn't see it either, and I was like, "Ooh!" when I noticed it. I mean, we'll come back to it later. But yeah, he killed a buttload of Tegu warriors in that shooting phase.
Was that with breath weapon as well?
I don't think so. Maybe it was. What's something curse? I don't know. Don't know what it was. But,
no, but does he have? He's got breath weapon on the.
Must have done. It was everything all combined. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but killed a fair few. You can see I've got Chorus of the Damned on my Raptor unit as well. Over here, because of the Maw and the Blowflies being in the way of this Lemur unit, he has to focus all his shooting at the Ramphadons, but obviously they're hard targets, so they eat up a few shots. Yeah, they're just extras now. Over here, things continue. I believe there is still a Hoarder standing in front of the Carnosaur, but it's not doing great, and it will die eventually.
And the Bloatflies
yeah, they go down. There's a Cowboy on the end, so I'm putting some attacks into the Bloatflies with the Cowboy, and mostly leaving the Maw alone. And obviously with Chorus of the Damned, I got distracting, so he's not doing much to me back. So yeah, it's going nicely. I'm just waiting for that Hoarder to be killed before I can actually start fighting them all. Now, this is the outcome of what I was trying to say. I don't know if you want to go back to that other picture because it demonstrates how it panned out. So basically, because Tony strips off 2 or 3 ranks of the Tegu warriors at the front, that means that my Tegu warriors can go straight forward and hit the burning disc guy, and it leaves enough room for the Tegu warriors behind to move past my first warrior unit and also charge the burning disc.
Right, okay.
Now, if I'd still got 3 ranks in the first unit, there would not have been enough space for my Tegu warriors to wheel past my own unit.
Sure. So you just absolutely obliterate the...
So I absolutely obliterate the Burning Wheel Harbinger because I charged 2 ranked up units of Tegu warriors into them.
Nice.
And that was only possible because Tony's dice finally decided to be good in one shooting phase. So it was kind of like, yeah, that's a real shame. But obviously I wasn't complaining. It did mean I was slightly out of position, and I had to move this Tegu warrior unit back towards the center, and now I was legging it towards the middle. But 12 inches is quite a lot, on getting towards the center. So that was awesome. Obviously, the fact that I had a Tegu warrior unit also charging into the flank of the Myrmidons meant the Mystics had a great effort. I think I even charged the Skinks into the flank and just wiped the floor with the Myrmidons.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Mystics, I put the Fortitude 5 up on them and Foresight, so they really won that fight against the Myrmidons as well. So, yeah, that was cool. Over in the middle, the Hoarder finally goes down, and the fight resumes with the Raptor Riders. I do put the Ramphadons in front of the Lemurs just to stop any flank charge from happening late doors. And yeah, basically, all goes as planned, with now 2 Cowboys and a Carnosaur fighting the Maw, which overcome it. And basically, Tony in his final turn, really, or maybe turn 5, is charges the Ramphadons to kill them, but he's basically got his shooting units left and the Lemurs. And if this isn't the last picture, then the last picture won't show much more, apart from Tony counting up, because he decides not to charge the Lemurs into the front of that Raptor unit. He shoots and kills 2 Raptors, but it's not enough to move me off the center. My Tegu warriors have managed to keep the center, and I get my secondary as well. But obviously that's cancelled out by Tony getting secondary.
Yes,
so
so
no
you
points
you
for
both get
secondary.
your secondaries.
Yes.
Yes.
And I win the primary. So there's a lot that happened in that battle. I feel like I've spoken at like 120 miles an hour during that, but it's because I kind of like remember a lot of the inner workings of how that turned out. And the Raptor Riders just did the business in combat. Like a few turns
All
where
about
I
the
got the
Raptor.
key spell off, like getting the extra strength off, getting distracting to limit my damage back. Hoarders just aren't really equipped to deal with a 2-up armor save unit anyway.
No, they've never had AP, have they? So
no, I mean, I also, funnily enough, right in that first combat where my Carnosaur and Raptor unit was fighting the Hoarders, I forgot multiple wounds 2 on the Carnosaur, and still did that much damage.
Wow.
So, like, I was just for like 20 minutes or half an hour in the middle of the battle, I was just not playing well at all. But because my unit had enough on it from the previous turn, and Tony's rolls upper Aegis was so terrible, I got through it. It was one of those you lucky, moments.
Yeah, fair play.
It could have cost me in another battle. Now, obviously, we can see in the next screen probably how it counts up to be. It is a big win for me, especially with the primary included. Now, I don't realize about my issue with my Skink Chiefs until like much later on in the tournament. I think I correct it by the time day 2 comes around. I can't remember what happened in game 3. I don't think I remembered it by game 3. So there is kind of a little bit of a lot on this victory for me. I can't ignore that. I don't feel quite as great about it as I could have done. So I do feel like I managed to outmaneuver Myrmidons because of it.
Okay.
I don't know how much else of the battle changes. There's a chance that Mystics can deal with Myrmidons. Probably not as well as they did without the chaffing skinks. So there's a little bit of a asterisk to this win, I feel. So apologies to Tony.
And I guess as well, it does kind of completely mute the point of the skinks, right?
Yeah, they just weren't any use to me. If they go in the hunters, they are literally an extra skink for 65 points, and they're not much great at fighting. So that was like a real issue with my list, really. I'd even paid for those skink chiefs to have Chameleon and Scout, which they couldn't use because they had to be deployed in a hunter unit. My list is I should have picked that up in list building, to be honest. So it was a pretty bad error. But in this battle, I used it wrong, and so I'm not feeling overly fantastic about it. So apologies, Tony. I'd like to think that everything from the right of that on the battlefield would have still played out how it did.
Yeah,
which would still have resulted to be a good win for me.
It just holds it up a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just
whether
a little
or
bit
not that actually
bad
affects
taste in my mouth, really.
Yeah, sure.
And I know Tony's used to he knows innocent mistakes and all that lot, but a learning thing to look out for attached on your units, folks.
Yes,
that's definitely a new thing to be wary of.
Yeah, but a win's a win.
A win's a win. That's how it went down on the record books. And delighted to get it. Obviously, this catapults me back into mid-table. Puts me on 24 points from. I think it's 24, maybe less. I can't remember what the first one ended up as. So delighted with that. Tony sent plummeting to the bottom, but I'm sure you didn't play Tony in this tournament, did you?
Not in the tournament,
no. But Tony's fine. Don't worry about it, folks.
He's fine. He got over it.
He got over it. So I don't feel that the apology is too justified, too needed. He did okay. So thanks, folks. Give us some comments on your thoughts on that. Any incidents where you've made a mistake that has sort of dampened a victory potentially, or your thoughts on it generally.
And any units that, despite you playing badly, just win the day because they're awesome. Stories of that, please.
Yeah, and I mean, this has definitely made me feel, well, the Cowboys with the Raptor unit, that's a lot better than deploying them separately, because we all saw how the Raptors got on without 2 Cowboys in them in the first battle. That was arguably my error with the magic and the chariot charging, etc. But yeah, this was a complete turnaround with a different outlook on them.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment away, and find us on all the platforms that you see here. But otherwise, we move on to the end of the day and the hardest game of any tournament, in my opinion.
Let alone 3.0 learning rules. Yeah.
I know, but game 3 of day 1 awaits. But until then, see you later.